Apologies, everyone. It's like a hitch there. Welcome to the Waverley Local Planning Panel meeting of the 23rd of July, 2025. The panel today comprises myself, David Ryan, as chair, Oliver Klein and Kerry Kyriakou as the expert members panel, and Claire Edwards, who is the community representative. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the Indigenous heritage and recognise the ongoing Aboriginal traditional custodianship of the land, which forms this local government area. No apologies today. Prior to the meeting, all panel members were required to declare any interests being done. I'll just go around the table and ask all panel members if they have any interest to declare. Sorry?
I have no declarations of interest.
No declarations of interest for me.
So no declaration of interest.
I have a declaration of interest in relation to item 1. My company made a submission on behalf of one of the objectors to the current application when the original development application for the site was proposed across 6 years ago. As a result, I won't be participating in this in that item. I will leave the meeting accordingly at that time. I'll announce each item on today's agenda and identify any registered speakers. Speakers have 3 minutes, but abstention can be allowed if you just listen out. There will be a sound as the 3 minutes approaches. Panel members may ask questions. I'd ask that you keep your microphones muted until such time as I call upon you to speak. Please be aware that the meeting is being recorded. At the conclusion of presentations, I'll close the public meeting and the panel will retire to deliberate on all of the items. And the minutes of the meeting will be available on Council's website within a few days. We'll now proceed to the agenda items. As indicated, because I have a conflict on this item, I'll vacate the room and pass over to Oliver Klein as the elected chair.
Thank you. So agenda item number 1 is DA 422/2020/B for 262 Campbell Parade, Bondi Beach. And for that item, we have 1 speaker registered today, Gabrielle Seward. Gabrielle, would you please like to present?
Yes, thank you. Just putting forward this proposal, which is essentially an amendment to the currently approved DA. The changes that have been proposed are changes to the rooftop terrace. So there's an existing terrace for the existing building, and we're looking to split it into 15 square metres per dwelling for the proposals to essentially townhouses above shop top. And we are keeping within the existing overall heights of the building. With the addition of the rooftop terrace, also looking to build out the balconies that exist on the 3rd level of the proposal. And so they now have meals areas in them. And the biggest change is the reduction in the basement. So looking to reduce the additional, there's currently 3 basements designed for the building, and that's being reduced to a single basement where all the car parking will be contained in that basement for both the retail and the 2 townhouses. But yes, open to questions.
No. Not from me either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's wraps up item number 1. Thank you.
And then for item number 2, DA 122/2025 or 302 stroke 56A 60 Actual Split Bondi. No one registered to speak against the item. I have Virginia Zanarini, as the owner, registered to speak.
Thank you.
You wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I'm very satisfied with the decision to approve our application. And we have found the council planner, Olivia, to be most helpful in this process. My only reason for speaking today is to simply request that 2 DA conditions be deleted due to lack of relevance, namely Clause 7, which is a requirement for hoarding, and Clause 8, erosion and sediment control. We believe that the hoarding is not relevant or applicable for this proposed work, not required for public safety, and request that it be deleted from the conditions of approval. Unit 302 is at the rear of the building on the northeast corner with no connection or access for builders directly from the unit to the street. The arrow is actually pointing to the wrong unit in that report. It's actually at the rear. The building is well serviced by a dedicated loading dock construction vehicle zone down the driveway on the access to the security parking on the right-hand side of the driveway forecourt. The building is also well serviced by a large internal lift. Demolished materials as well as delivery of building materials is required by strata to be managed via this on-site designated area. Demolished materials are transported in covered bins from the unit to the loading dock via the protected internal lift. There'll be some bricks, a small number of tiles and tile bed, and a metre-long concrete curb. 3 other units have previously undertaken this work contained well within the site with no impact on public lands, which is located uphill from the loading dock. Additionally, a number of 9 on-site undercover security parking spaces well removed from the public road are also made available by strata to the contractors executing refurbishment works. The second clause, Clause 8, erosion and sediment control. We believe that this condition is not applicable for the proposed work and should be deleted. There is no risk or even possibility of any material from the rear 3rd floor unit reaching the curb and gutter in the street, so that sediment-laden runoff and site debris do not impact stormwater systems and waterways. The works to Unit 302 are on level 3 at the rear, and demolished materials transported by lift in covered bins to the loading dock, which is located, as I said, on the right-hand side downhill from the curb and gutter via the private driveway. The balcony drainage waste in Unit 302 will be locally protected from dust and debris with filter bags on the balcony at the point of demolition. Thank you.
I have one question. Did you submit a construction management plan with the application?
I'm not sure if that was requested. We resubmitted an abundance of information, which was requested, but I'm not sure if that was requested.
But
But
the
if-
detail you've described now in terms of how you're going to manage the construction,
Yeah.
that's information that you provided to the council
I'm not sure.
previously.
I'm not sure if it was requested or provided, because it's a 3rd floor rear unit, not a front unit, despite the arrow pointing to the front unit on that report, and very local and very minor.
Thank you. I'll now move to item 3, CA 131/2025 for 2/19 Imperial Avenue, Bondi. No one registered to speak against the item. I have Sarah Roach and Julian Bracewell registered on behalf of the applicant. Which of you would wish to speak first?
Julian, would you like me to go first? Yeah, it's up to you. How do these things usually run?
I know you go, just more
Yeah.
from a personal
Okay.
perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for letting me speak. Just to give you a bit of background, me and Mariko have lived in the area for 20 years. We have a young family. Very difficult to make that jump from a unit to a house, as I'm sure you all know. Being able to get this extra room is essential for us. We love this area. We've enrolled our son to the local school, Bondi Public School, and this enables us to stay in this area. I'm a business owner here. We have lots of friends in the area. We're part of the community, and most of all, we have the blessing from all of our neighbours. They're all aware of it. As you can see, there's been no pushback. So I feel like we're a worthy cause, so to speak, and that's all really from us.
Thank you, Julian. That's great.
Right.
So good morning. I'm Sarah. So my company's Entrance Hall. We prepared the application for this submission, as well as the 2023 balcony approval for the site. So I'm speaking on behalf of Julian and Mariko to explain why the proposal should be granted, despite council's recommendation for refusal. So on Monday, I provided the panel with additional material, a cover letter and amended design, prompted largely by procedural fairness concerns, which I had hoped to discuss privately with the assessment officer, Sasha Kales, during a scheduled meeting last Friday. That meeting did not occur. My colleague and I waited all day. The officer phoned on Monday at 3:40 after the submission cutoff to apologise and advise that he'd been reassigned to the fast track team. I found this unsatisfactory and part of a broader pattern of unanswered follow-ups, mixed messaging and confusion. Importantly, none of the matters raised in the letter were disputed in that phone call. So against that backdrop, which we can go into more detail if you require later, I'll demonstrate that the proposal, both the original and the amended, and which received no objections, has negligible impacts on shadow, views and heritage, and fully meets the planning objectives guiding your decision today. So as you can see, we've got our original proposal. Are you familiar with what's been submitted? Just as a quick question. And we've got our amended proposal after reading the planning report. So the environmental impacts are acceptable from our perspective, and the dormer placement was designed to fulfil the environmental planning controls.
Just before you continue, just if I could clarify that whilst we're aware of the amended plans that we've
Yes.
those aren't the plans that the council that we are considering. So council, you've submitted them, but they haven't been formally accepted through the portal. So what we're looking at is the original plan.
Yes, obviously we'd like to do that, but we have a history of working with council. We're more than willing to listen and be guided by council, and that's demonstrated throughout our projects and company as a general guide, and with the balconies on this. So we would prefer that, but look, we've also done this as a alternative. But what I want to do is compare the two and show the minuscule, from my perspective, you can assess that, but just go through shadowing, views and the other aspects and see really what council wants to what we're proposing, and the amenity it would increase for the unit in an existing roof space that could be used, and just have a look at those and assess for yourself. Ideally, we'd like our original proposal, yes.
Just on that, you're aware there is ordinarily 3 minutes. Now, what you've just explained sounds like there'll be a lot more than 3 minutes, which I'll grant, but just be conscious that we can't go through the whole.
No, I'll do a 1 sentence per aspect with a diagram that will help speed up the process. So we submitted this anyway in the report. So if you would like to go through in further detail later, on your own, you can do so. So shadowing, I just want to highlight that we did indeed show council that the shadowing just over that corner of the window there is indeed a bathroom. It's not a habitable space. The blue line is our proposal. The pink shadowed is the peeled back dormer that we lodged as a compromise, but ideally we'd like this blue dash. So you can see it just crosses over that bathroom. We can go into more detail if you'd like further. The shadowing onto the neighbours' properties across the footpath, as you can see from the diagrams. Again, there were no objections from them. And shadowing from the report, from delegated report from the DA submission for the balconies, council actually themselves said additional shadows will fall across part of the front yard and adjacent public domain and does not adversely impact on the amenity of the adjoining properties. So with that submission for the balconies, council has also agreed that shadowing across that minor shadowing is not going to adversely affect the adjoining properties. So now the other important one to look at is the views. So I'll just zoom in here again. We've gone to tremendous length to be very detailed with this. So the concern was the building, the large building behind, very large building behind, and the impact from 12 and 3, the units. So what we've demonstrated here is the dormer. You can see the pink line is the peeled back, the blue is our ideal dormer. And we've removed it. So you can just see there's a little bit of patch of sky there. The outlook is really the main thing here. So we've again here, we've demonstrated that building in front is also another large building, blonde brick building. So you can see, yes, there's a bit of patch of sky. The main look is actually here on the other side where the ocean in the horizon. It's not Bondi Beach. It's not seeing Bondi, it's a strip of water in the horizon. So we've been very considerate of this process. So you can see here again, there's the two proposals there, and again here as well. So just wanted to look at those two specifically, views and shadowing, and just so that you got a visual of that. Again, with heritage, that was the main thing. We were waiting to really work with heritage and we were keen to, but there was no follow through with us contacting. We were informed, oh yes, there would be heritage comments. We were more than happy to work with. So one, like we could remove the terrace at the back. We're happy to do that. So that can be conditioned if you'd like. We're also happy to take on board the heritage comments about how the windows would look with the timber mullions. Of course, we can definitely amend that, and whatever heritage would like to do. So we'd love to work with heritage. We did with the balconies, and we'd love to continue doing that if we are given the opportunity to do so. So I also just want to point out, just for FSR, a couple of developments in the local area with higher FSR breaches that have been approved by council. So these are all within the range council has previously supported. So that's 9 Beach Road, 290.4%, 14 Edward Street, 119%, Unit 5 of 127 Hastings Parade, 109%. Our amended proposal is 108%, 0.6% to be exact.
That's finding up there. Right.
That's the amended proposal, yes. Our first proposal variation is 111.7%. So we're still within what council has previously supported for FSR. And let's also note that we're sitting under a ridge of an existing building using the volume of an existing roof space. So it's a very practical, reasonable use of floor space. We're not adding, we're making it more amenity for the existing owner, which is what we want to do with these buildings, rather than a developer coming in and putting 3 stories and the whole thing. So I guess my conclusion is environmental and heritage impacts are negligible. Any remaining heritage detail can be managed by conditions of consent. I also affirm concerns about procedural unfairness raised in my letter to the panel dated 21st of July 2025, where aspects of Waverley Council's assessment felt misleading to us. Given the proposal's consistency with planning objections, we respectfully request approval. Yes, and just in the context, the buildings around are large and
We'll need to wrap it up.
yes, well, I can wrap it up there. You've got the main point. So yeah, we'd love to work with Heritage further or conditions on our desired approval. And yeah, if not, with the amended one as lodged. But yes, ideally, we'd love to see something approved here.
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, we'll now move on to item 4. VA 47, 2025, 152 Hastings Parade, North Bondi. No registered objectors. I have 3 registered representatives on behalf of the applicant, George Caravanas, Tanya Wallace, and Paul Rowe. Who wishes to proceed?
I do, Mr. Chair. It's George Caravanas here. I have Mr. Broff in my office, who's the architect, and also Tanya Wallace. They're available to answer any questions. I just want to have a short presentation, if I may, in the absence of the objector. But notwithstanding that, as I said, we all on behalf of the applicant, we concur with the assessment contained in the officer's report. And we do not wish to challenge any of the recommended conditions of consent. You will note that the proposal is for alterations and additions, primarily the 2 top levels, and then the 2 levels, and then the addition on the top. The proposal has been designed and amended in accordance with the council's feedback to comply with the majority of the DCP controls applicable to the site, but you'll also be aware that there are breaches in building height and FSR, and they are due to largely a function of the previous excavation on site, which has the artificial ground line of the basement. If the natural ground or the pre-existing ground line was to be included, then we would comply with the height limit. You will also note that the building, or at least the proposal, has been revised, minimised and sculpted to ensure that the amenity of the neighbours is preserved. This is particularly in terms of overshadowing, and we've ensured that there is no overshadowing on any habitable windows. There are no primary views that are affected. The views out to the water are totally unaffected. And given the careful positioning of windows, the proposal results in no additional overlooking. So for all those reasons, we believe that the non-compliances with the height and FSR are consistent with the objectives of the standard. Now, given the typology and the eclectic mix of buildings in the street, the proposal, we believe, is also consistent with both streetscape and context. And for those reasons, it is consistent with the desired future character of the area and has the sufficient planning grounds as per the clause 4.6. Don't want to take much more of your time. We feel that the proposal is worthy of approval as stated in the council officer's report. Thank you.
So you will be on this, okay?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Move to item 5, is DA 369 2021 for C for number 168 to 170 Hastings Parade, North Bondi. And I have no objectors registered. I have 2 registered on behalf of the applicant, Nicholas Ford and Gabrielle Sir. Who wishes to kick off on behalf of the applicant?
Thank you. Just representing the client for this application, which is essentially a modification to the existing approval, where we've looked to originally approved was a small spa in the rear ground floor of the property, and that has been deleted from the approval, and we're looking to put it on the rooftop with that spa, we've just increased the size of the enclosure that's currently approved on the rooftop terrace. So that will be a maximum of 20 square metres. And there was a pergola proposed for the rooftop, and that has been removed. So we just have 13 square metres of terrace space and the addition of a WC for the rooftop terrace. But we accept all the conditions and open to questions.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll move to budget. Sorry, just confirming, Mr. Paul, can you speak?
No, nothing further to add.
We'll move to item 6, CA 675 2024, the 10 Craig Avenue, Vaucluse. No objectors registered. I have Mr. Anthony Vetros registered on behalf of the applicant. Vetros,
Thanks very much, panel. Good to see you. Also speak in support of the recommendation for approval. Note there was no objectors, so happy to answer any questions. We did request a follow-up on one condition to Council's stormwater team. I'm not sure if that has made it to yourselves. We thought the condition was overly onerous. Council's planners were going to get in touch with Council's stormwater team, and I'm not sure if that has made its way to you in the interim.
Great, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You wanted to further on that? Happy to hear.
Oh no, I wouldn't be qualified to speak on the matter. It was more just a request about the condition for pits, whether that could be reviewed. So I'm not sure what Council's response has been, but happy to speak on any planning matters if you need to. But I think the report is quite comprehensive, and besides that, we're happy with the conditions of approval.
We'll now move to item.
Thank you.
CA 676 of 2024, the Kenilworth Street, Bondi Junction. Then speaker is rejecting the proposal, Mr. John Grossman, registered on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Grossman. Up there. We might come back to that at the end. Okay, so item 8, the 678 of 2024, 9 to 11 Luger Street, Bronte. Again, no registered against the application. Ruby Rosenthal, owner, registered. Rosenthal, move to speak. Just on mute, I'm not sure whether we can unmute.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, shall I go? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, good morning, panel members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and for considering my DA and the report from Council. I also submitted a recent submission this Monday, and I was going to speak to that. In essence, we have lived in the Waverley Council area for 20 years and at 9 Luger Street for the past 10. All I want to do with this DA is rebuild my existing home with the same building footprint, the same facade, and even the same room layout, not for scale or profit, but to create a net zero energy house that reflects the future of sustainable living. The new home will feature Durasol ICF blocks for exceptional thermal and acoustic performance, triple glazed windows, a 10,000 litre water tank, and 13 to 15 kilowatts of rooftop solar. This build directly aligns with Council's net zero 2050 targets and will serve as a practical, real-life example of sustainable housing in our community. The front setback condition proposed by Council is based on an incorrect calculation of the predominant setback on the street. We're simply proposing to rebuild in the exact same location following the existing footprint, including the current front and side setbacks. The only addition of change to footprint is the small pool cabana at the rear. The need for a basement arose because after feedback from council, they did not want the existing above ground parking to remain in front of the building line. In response, we've invested significant time and money to remove the carports and design a subterranean basement to reduce visual bulk and increase green space in the front yard. I submit that the requested change to the front setback is now even less necessary, given that the visual bulk of the carports has been removed. We are happy to reduce the basement ceiling height, which was another condition proposed, as requested, but only if the resulting ramp gradient and access is safe and compliant. At 2.1 metres, as currently proposed, the basement is unlikely to be functional or legally compliant and would pose risks in daily use. Turning to council's requirement for us to reconstruct the footpath and curb, it's respectfully, in my view, a clear case of cost shifting, because the DA does not require any disturbance of these council assets. Rebuilding these will not create any additional legal on-street parking, and it may instead encourage illegal parking, which would block our driveway and that of our neighbours, which is already an existing problem. Combined with the driveway gradient required, it presents a serious pedestrian safety risk, particularly to the many children, like mine, who walk to and from school along our street. I don't want to live in a home where I fear hitting a passerby every time I drive in or out of it. So in summary, this is a deeply sustainable, fully compliant build from a long-term local resident, and I believe it will stand as a genuine example of what's possible in responsible and environmentally sustainable home building. In my submission in front of you that I was sent on Monday, I proposed alternative deferred commencement conditions that touch on the main points that I've addressed, that I believe offer a mutually beneficial outcome for the build, for council, and for the broader community. I respectfully ask the panel to accept those alternate conditions so I can achieve a home that supports my family and contributes meaningfully to our neighbourhood. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Moving on to the final item. DA 23, 2024, correct fee for 424 Bronte Road, Bronte. I have one registered objector, Mr. Michael Houghton. Mr. Houghton, you have 3 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. First, I'd like to thank the panel for allowing us to make this, provide our concerns and views on the DA and also the development officers for the recommendations, which go a small way in addressing our concerns around the new garage and dry shed structure, which is being built on the eastern edge of our boundary fence. It really feels like we're only here yesterday, right? This was raised with the WLPP in 2024. It was called back then a garage extension with turntable. Today it's called a garage extension with dry shed and storage room. The footprint is the same. The roof height is the same. The wall height now is worse. It's in excess of 7 meters. It will have a material impact on the courtyard, which we love to use. The kids play netball there, handball, we read books. It's an important space for our home. And I think importantly, it impacts the first floor kids' bedroom with the wall height, as well as the ground floor bedrooms. I was reading the WPP assessment back in 2024 and noting some of the comments that were made. And the issues noted, and I quote a few of these: the proposed garage extension does not achieve design excellence. It results in a building with excess bulk and form. That was on page 115. Results in unreasonable sense of enclosure to the garage. A condition of consent is therefore the deletion of the garage extension. Unreasonable amenity impact. The proposed wall height is contrary to the control. The proposed ridge height is also contrary to the control. Unnecessary excess in bulk and scale and results in unreasonable amenity impacts. Has the potential to be used to park 4 vehicles contrary to standard. So I just wanted to provide that context from 2024. We're revisiting the same It's the same footprint, worse wall height. It's a structure which goes beyond the garage and the scale of the existing shed that currently is there, and has a material impact on our amenity. I think in the submission on the WPP, the page 626 really illustrates the issues the best. Again, from where we stand, we will see a 7-meter wall as opposed to 1.8-meter wall. We did look into greenery. There was flowering jasmine and other plants, which meant that all we could see was the second floor of 424 Bronte Road of the actual house. Now we'll be looking onto a brick wall. And I think the structure that was shown in the outline of the structure, the old structure, which was shown on page 630, is misleading and wasn't representative of the scale of the old structure. Look, our other concern is the length of the dry shed. It now extends all the way beyond the front of our property. There is overlap of 3 meters to the front of our property, going down the side of our house. This creates a very narrow gap, and as I said, the wall will be in close proximity to the first floor windows. I think also the northern end of the dry shed structure is now not a solid wall, but an open or glass construct. Again, as can be seen on page 626. This is built right up against the top of the pool at a height where anyone standing can look over our boundary fence into the windows down the side of our house, including to our kitchen, dining room, and living area. The drawings on 626 do not show accurately reflect the windows, the French doors on the eastern side of our property. Yes, there is some bamboo which is being grown, but that will not mitigate the overlooking issue. Previously, there were 5 trees which provided privacy. Now there is an open structure or glass, and again, people will be able to see into our house. Look, the submission also comments about the modification of consents which are made under 455 of the Act. We don't agree with these. They're not overly dissimilar or substantially the same. We feel that there's a significant FSR breach from 43 square meters up to 68. All of that breach now comes from the addition of the sizable dry shed addition. The applicant justifies the FSR breach as having no bearing on overall scale, which we don't agree with. The relevant objective of the standards C and D are not met in our view, as they add substantial bulk and scale and do not preserve the amenity of neighbouring properties, which is clearly having a negative impact on our courtyard. And these points were in line with the findings of the May 2024 LPP assessment. I think, look, the other thing that we're concerned about is that the other thing we're concerned about is that the structure from garage into the dry shed has the risk of potential to use as parking for more than 2 vehicles, which is clearly knocked back in the last report. And I think, look, the whole compliance has been an issue. So we're willing to work with the neighbours, with council, with a smaller structure for the shed. I think the garage needs to be a standalone structure with a wall. The rear wall was knocked back, was demolished, which is in contravention of the DA application. So I think keeping the structure the same for garage, the shed on a smaller scale, setback, and having plants providing privacy to our courtyard and to the northern end, replacing what was there. There was an old 10-year-old vine and plants which provided a lot better privacy for us. Now, I also note that the slab has been poured this week. the rebar is now set onto our boundary fence. And this is, despite the comments from the development officers, recommendation in the WPP.
Thank you very much. I have registered on behalf of the applicant, Joe Caravanas, Tanya Wallace, Megan Naylor, and Alice Knowles. Ms. Caravanas, are you taking the lead again?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have the rest of the members available to answer questions, of course. We've gone through the council officer report. There are a number of conditions that have been set as identified by the neighbour. We do not wish to challenge any of those conditions. We're happy to accept those. And of course, the recommendation for approval. You'll be aware that the modifications have been fine-tuned in accordance with the council's feedback to comply with the majority of the DCP controls and to achieve an outcome that is acceptable on merit as stated in the council officer's report. Now, while we have breaches in the height and FSR standards, the proposed envelope increase is generally within the compliant envelope or the existing envelope. In other words, the FSR for the side storage area is within the required setbacks and height, while the upper level is within the existing attic. This is supported in pages 551 to 554 of the council officer's report. Accordingly, the modifications inclusive of the height and FSR departures did not result in our view, and indeed the council officer's view, in any adverse impacts in regard to solar access views, visual intrusion, privacy, and so on. The proposed works have been appropriately cited given the constraints on site by virtue of the existing heritage item. And you will see on page 560 of the council officer's report that the modifications are deemed satisfactory in respect to heritage, stormwater, tree management, and other referrals. For all those reasons that we feel that the proposal is appropriate for the site, the locality, and worthy of approval, in particular in accordance with the council officer's report as indicated, requesting the storage to be set back 900 from the side boundary to provide that relief for the neighbour. Now, the neighbours also indicated that there is a potential for some privacy impact from that elevation, which has a balustrade height. We're happy to have council to impose a further condition for a screen along that side to alleviate that concern as well. Thank you.
Council, can I respond? Like,
no, the procedures are.
Yeah, fine.
Thank you. Thanks. So that is the last of our items. I will now need to close the public part of the meeting. The panel will now retire to deliberate on all matters and give consideration for all matters raised today. The meeting is closed at 11:47. So thank you everyone for your involvement.
Thank you.